Hey guys, it's Ash here coming at you today in Etheria Restart. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Today, 10 tips. There's a lot of new players coming into Etheria Restart. Likely you may be one of them. So I want to go ahead and revisit some of the basic things that honestly I wish that I knew when I started out this game, and I want to do it in 10 minutes or less. So that's a challenge for yours truly. I should mention this is a sponsored video, a sponsored channel here. So thank you so much to Etheria Restart for making this all happen. Let's start with the very basics here, and we'll kind of work our way up as we go. So number one, guys, the first thing you need to understand about this game, animuses or heroes or champions, in this game they're called animuses. It really, affinity matters. Affinity matters in a big way, and that's the same in all of these games, but the first thing you want to recognize is hollow or green countering blue, and blue countering reason or red, and red countering green or hollow, okay? Disorder and constant are kind of the premium tier of affinity. If you're coming from raid, think void, right? So they have a neutral matchup here. You can also see, nice and handy in the game, you can see what advantages and disadvantages that you get. 50% effect accuracy, for example, is a huge penalty or handicap. So make sure you take advantage of affinity matchups. You go into a random level and you see a bunch of green or hollow affinity. Make sure you stack your team with the reasons that you do have available. It's going to help you out in a big way. Tip number two is going to have to do about building animuses in the game, right? What stats matter, right? When we look at our modules on the left-hand side, the main stat's always going to be attack for your visor, your helmet, HP, right, on the next one, and then we have defense on the third. On the right-hand side, though, we can use anything that we want. Percentages are what we look for here over flat stats, similar to most games in this genre. For support champions, for healers, the best stat to go after, as you can see on my Nifonial, is going to be HP percentage, and HP percentage, right? However, for damage dealers, the thing that we want to make sure that we focus on first is going to be their crit rate, right? So again, if you're new to the genre, this is important info. If you're not new to the genre, you probably likely already know this, but we want to focus on getting as much critical rate out of these animuses as possible, because we want them to crit to do damage, right? So in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with going crit rate percentage on one of your modules or your artifacts, your gear on the right-hand side, just to ensure you're getting that crit rate. There's a lot of animuses in this game that have bonus crit rate. You can also get crit rate from your shells in this game. Shells, by the way, are another farmable thing that you can add, kind of a sidekick, a companion to all of your animuses that not only give you bonus abilities, but they can also give you bonus speed, bonus stats, crit rate, and final damage boost, along with basic attribute stat boosts that apply to your main animus's base stats. They're really important, so take advantage as well right there. All right, so the third tip, guys, is going to be a very important one. Again, this one might be pretty basic for you guys, but just like in Raid or other games in this genre, accuracy, effect accuracy is super important. You can also get effect accuracy percentage on your right-hand side in the game. Listen, if you're doing any debuffs to the enemy, right, you're going to need effect accuracy, but it goes beyond that. If you're simply stealing their turn meter and you're not applying a debuff on the same skill, anytime you're doing something other than direct damage, I'm talking about damage over time, it even applies, right? Dots in this game. You're gonna need a lot of effect accuracy, CC debuffs, any sort of debuff. So make sure you're using enough effect accuracy on your animuses. Even in the early game, I try to shoot for at least like 50 to 100% effect accuracy, and then as you progress, it's gonna scale up even more. It's gonna be important because why use an animus? I find oftentimes new players will say, I'm underwhelmed by this animus, and they don't have enough effect accuracy. How can you properly assess your animus without having enough effect accuracy to actually get everything that they're bringing to the table for your team, for your squad? All right, tip number 4 is going to be in the very beginning of the game. This game has a lot for a game that's brand new. They're going to be throwing a ton at you all the time in terms of things to do. You might be a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit of paralysis by analysis inside the early game. 2 easy areas to focus on are going to be Doki Doki in Threshold. This is going to be module farming, gear farming. Doki Doki generally has a lot of the best starting gear, especially Swift Rush, the boots, because speed is everything in this game, as you see across a lot of games in the genre. And on Grim Pursuit, on shell drops, you can usually start by focusing on Nico Nana. There's a lot of very good shells available in Nico Nana, and Nico Nana and Doki Doki are 2 areas that are fairly simple to kind of grasp grasp the basics of in terms of farming. White Fang is very good. Honestly, you could use any of these shells. Gigabyte especially is exceptionally good as well. All right, next tip is Doki Doki and Nico Nana are great areas to focus. What if you've already hit your wall, your plateau, and you can't progress any further in those two areas of the game? What do you do then? Well, you just simply click on the Hyperlink Charter. Hyperlink Charter, don't make my mistake and ignore any of the categories. This is going to be a really good compass for you throughout the entirety of the early game to the mid game of Etheria Restart. This is where you can come in here and simply do what it says to do. Now, obviously, this will help you progress in all the areas of the game, but also it will give you something to do all the time that's like laid out right in front of you, and insanely good rewards in aggregate when you talk about completing all of these areas, including the next tip number 6, the perfect or SSR lattices, the yellow lattices. Listen, I made a whole video talking about how I screwed this up on my account, and you know what I did? In the early game, before I even knew who was good and who wasn't good, now I have 9 saved up, which I feel like I am absolutely Scrooge McDuck swimming in a pile or a swimming pool of gold, a vault of gold coins, because 9 is the most I think I've ever had on my account at one time. Listen, these perfect lattices are the rarest things to get in this game, especially after you've completed all of the progression rewards and the hyperlink charter. They're gonna dry up really quickly. So in the beginning of the game, odds are you don't know how good anybody is, right? Like, you'd have to look up a tier list on every single animus that you pull. You're gonna be way too green to really know for certain what to invest in and who to invest in. And also, a lot of that is dictated on what other animuses that you pull during your first couple weeks. So make sure you understand, the breadth of what this game has to offer, what you're going for, and make sure you listen to tip number 10 before you start spending your SSR or perfect lattices, okay? These are the skill up material in the game that allows you to clear these important thresholds on each of your animus's skills. These are the most precious resource in the early, but arguably the entire game of Etheria Restart. Next tip, think 7, is going to be use your premium resource, your Hydra crystals, right? These are essentially gems or the premium resource that you can use in a lot of different areas. You can even use them to summon inside this game as well, right? I don't have enough resources. I can spend 2,400 of these premium resources. Don't use them for summoning, guys. Use these for stability, right? Stability is kind of like stamina or energy from other games. This is the resource that you use to do things, to battle inside the game. So make sure you're saving your premium resource, your Hydra crystals, for your stability. The best way to use your Hydra crystals in the game is going to be for energy or stability to allow you to farm more on your account. Next, don't farm a ton of experience like I'm doing here in Investigation. By the way, when you look into the challenges, it's actually really intuitive for the early game. Investigation is where you get experience for your animuses. But in all these areas, arguably, especially for gear, for modules, and for experience, you're going to be throwing a lot of rewards in the early game. I would advise you guys, rather than just continuing to churn out maybe lower level investigation, maybe you're on, investigation 13, rather than just going over and over and over and using all of your stamina on crappy modules, crappy gear, or just a little bit of experience, they're going to throw actually a lot of decent things at you. And especially when we talk about modules, I said progress in Doki Doki, and absolutely you should progress in Doki Doki. That should be an area where you continue to take advantage of getting that Swift Rush gear. However, it's also important to note these early stages, no matter where you are in the game, not just Doki Doki, but everywhere, the gear that you get, this legendary, this yellow gear here, you're not going to be using it in a couple weeks, I promise you. So don't overthink things, but also don't overspend with your Etheria coin, which is the resource that we use to upgrade modules and gear in this game. Don't go crazy with it because you're not going to be using this. Obviously equip your animuses, but you don't have to take everything to 16 and go nuts, because you're just going to be basically prolonging the inevitable, which is you recycling this gear very soon anyway, right? One thing on gear too in this game I should point out is gear has, the stats work a little bit differently than I've seen other games in the way that they kind of give you the extra roll-ups, right? Let me make a better point here. Let me just go to my modules. Let me go to recycle, right? Matrix levels, right? Excuse me, number of substats, right? So if I go to 2, check this out. This piece of gear, and this applies to all rarities of gear, of modules in this game, only 2 substats. One of them is speed. That's fantastic. But here's what happens when I upgrade it, right? At level 3, I unlock my 4th stat. And then at level 6, I unlock my 3rd and my 4th stat respectively, right? And then I get all the way to 9, to get my first, roll up, my speed. But if I go to a 4 gear, right? Let me just go to something that I haven't leveled up. Look at this. This gear comes equipped already with 4 substats, right? 4 substats already. Look when I upgrade this one. My second level, I'm already getting a roll up. The number of substats your gear is going to have, your modules are going to have initially, right? It could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's gonna dictate how valuable that gear is gonna be, because you're gonna get more roll-ups, right, if you have the 4 substats already. So 3 or 4 substats is what I'm looking for. Usually 2s, I'm just gonna trash them and recycle them, okay? All right, let's move on here. Union these shops, right? Not the pay money shop, but rather the exchange shops. I found that you can be pretty liberal with your spending, or buying, I should say, in the arena shop, provided that you're doing arena every day, which you should be. You get 5 free battles. You might as well use them even in the early game. But I would be pretty liberal buying all this stuff, right? Because honestly, I found, as you can see from my total here, I found that you can get these very easily. Anytime you can buy a perfect lattice, by the way, you'll always buy it from anywhere in this game, no matter what, okay? But the arena shop, as well as to a certain extent the union shop, you can buy this stuff without feeling like, oh my god, am I gonna need this currency later? It's fairly easy to get. Conversely though, on the summon shop, I mean, I find this very difficult to get. You gotta summon a lot to be able to buy things in this area, this shop. So I would only buy the perfect lattices, at least at first, until you know how much you're gonna summon and you understand the cadence of the shop refresh, as well as, how much currency you're gonna be getting on your own shop. I probably wouldn't be buying a ton of modules. Personally, if I am in the early game, late game whales, of course, you can be buying some of this stuff. I might be buying some random gear because it's quite cheaper, but I wouldn't be going in the select shop, in the module shop in the early game. The last tip I have for you guys, right in the nick of time, not really, visit this website. Hellhades.com has a great Etheria restart section, so definitely give it some love. But I find the reviews here on pridewin.gg, that's PRYD, I'll link it for you guys in the show notes. Whenever you pull any animus in this game, go to Pridewin and look them up in the early game. Look them up. Google it. It takes 2 seconds. Go to the review. They have really good reviews. They give a pros and a cons list for every animus. It will help you decide who to upgrade next on your account. Most importantly, don't make the mistake that I did. Go to the build section of every single animus that you summon and go all the way down. If you've already decided you want to invest in them, look up the skill priority and make sure that you're investing in the proper skills. For example, skill 1 over skill 2 over skill 3. Sometimes it's not as intuitive as you'd think in terms of where you do want to spend your lattices, those hard to get lattices, those skill ups. It cannot be as intuitive as it may seem. You might just want to go for the cooldown, but the first skill might be more valuable for you. All right, guys, that's 10 tips for Etheria Restart beginners. A little over time, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead and download the game if you haven't already using my link. It helps support me and keep this channel going as well. Thanks again to Etheria Restart for sponsoring this video. Hey, join our Discord as well. Come chill with us. I give away $100 every single week. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.